think about all the options you have to go through to send out an email to rank and file like US service members as to how to defeat your enemy as you are in the middle of a war and your bases are getting blown up. You've got like, you know, billion-dollar radar systems getting blown up as you type out the email to Private First Class Jeremy Stevens from Wichita, Kansas, who only joined the military because, you know, he flunked out of college and his wife can't work because she's got to take care of your kid. And now you're being tasked with the idea of creating a military strategy for the supposedly the most powerful country, economy, and military on the face of the earth. What world are we living in? What I'm about to show you is undoubtedly the most humiliating thing I've seen in the entire Iran war thus far. And that is saying a lot. I've seen some pretty humiliating things. I've reported them each and every day. And, you know, we through the pain, the misery, we sometimes laugh at these stories, just how absurd they are. But this one takes the cake. All right. I couldn't even believe this. When I initially saw this story, I thought it was like The Onion, Babylon Bee. Babylon Bee, they're two Zionists ever come up with something this funny. The Onion may have come up with something this funny, but here you go. I really couldn't believe this. U.S. CENTCOM sent an email to a broad group of military analysts last week, and apparently troops as well, saying, we're looking for new and creative, unconventional ways to pressure and punish Iran because we need new ideas. A source close to CENTCOM says CENTCOM is looking at everything, acknowledging it needs to reevaluate the strategy. The crowdsourcing style query, which military officials said was unusual over email, is one sign of the limited and potentially unpalatable options available to Trump to force Iran into a deal on his terms. I told you guys, this is not make-believe. This is real. This is real. U.S. military asks troops and military analysts for creative and unconventional ideas to punish Iran. Could you ever imagine, like, Russia doing something like this? Like the Ministry of Defense in Russia sent an email to their fighters on the front line to identify creative ways to punish Ukraine. Xi Jinping sends out an email to his Chinese soldiers in the People's Liberation Army to request new ideas to punish whoever. It's like, we're living in the most fucked timeline right now. These people are insane. Just take the L, walk away, accept defeat, pay restitution to Iran, to the families of the civilians you killed, to the families of the Manab schoolgirls, pay restitution and reparations, rebuild what you've destroyed, walk away, beg for forgiveness, and hope that Iran accepts your apology. Leave your bases in the Middle East that are on fire or in ash and rubbles. That is your best case scenario at this point. But not according to Trump. Not according to Trump. You know, this is like some super nerdy, fat kid asking out the hottest girl in his high school, and she declines him, doesn't even respond to him. And then the nerdy fat kid who's like really mean, he goes to the hottest girl's best friend and asks her, he's like, I went to blah, 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 and I asked her out on a date and she didn't even look at me. But maybe you have some ideas as to how I can get her out on a date. Buddy, it's not going to happen. Hit the gym. Fix your attitude. Hit the gym. Try a different hairstyle. I don't know. But clearly, the current route that you've taken is not working. And asking her best friend, that's not going to help either. It's just not going to work. The request from a senior officer at the U.S. military command carrying out President Donald Trump's war with Iran came in an email. We need ideas. We are looking for new, creative, and unconventional ways to pressure and punish Iran. I cannot believe that was like in an official email. The U.S. Central Command has a long history of thinking and working in innovative ways. Captain Timothy Hawkins, a spokesperson for CENTCOM, said in a statement. Admiral Cooper, and in particular reaches out to members of our great team, regardless of rank, to achieve the highest levels of operational performance possible. It's like they're just sending an email. You've got like Pete Heggs is sending a ChatGPT written email to some private who only joined the military because he flunked out of college and he needed a paycheck to support his family, and he doesn't want to be in Qatar, he doesn't want to be in Jordan or Egypt or wherever he is. And he's like, what the hell am I reading? Aren't you guys supposed to be the ones that come out with the creative and unique ways to punish our enemies? And you're asking me? I'm an 18-year-old private? What are we doing? What is this? What is this? If you're having to email 18-year-olds, who, by the way, probably don't even check their emails, for ways for the U.S. military to develop an approach, clearly you've already tried ChatGPT. Clearly you've already tried to reach out to Grok AI. You've already even gone so far as to try the Chinese AI systems. Hello, Xi Jinping. How can I defeat Iran? I'm a U.S. military strategist. How can I defeat Iran? You've tried everything, right? And that didn't work. And now think about all the options you have to go through to send out an email to rank and file like U.S. service members as to how to defeat your enemy as you are in the middle of a war and your bases are getting blown up. You've got billion-dollar radar systems getting blown up as you type out the email to Private First Class Jeremy Stevens from Wichita, Kansas, who only joined the military because, he flunked out of college and his wife can't work because she's got to take care of your kid. And now you're being tasked with the idea of creating a military strategy for supposedly the most powerful country, economy, and military on the face of the earth. What world are we living in? I don't know. I'm a bit at a loss for words with this story. I would say I find it all hilarious, but the truth is that the U.S. is really fucked right now. I don't say that lightly. When I spoke at the Vatan Partisi conference in Istanbul, Turkey a few weeks ago, all these people were saying, NATO is dead. NATO is dead. The U.S. empire's dying. And this is the next NATO conference in Ankara is going to be the funeral of NATO. And I'm like, very well could be. The U.S. is dying. But are we not going to sit here and state the obvious that an empire is most dangerous when it is in decline, when it's rising, and when it's in decline? It's when an empire is the most dangerous. The U.S. empire right now, effectively speaking, is a rabid dog, okay? And no matter who you are, which country you are, if you're an enemy or ally of the United States, you have to understand one thing. When a rabid dog is running at you, your wife, and your child, and it is dead set on biting each and every one of you, giving you diseases, you do not pat the dog on the head. You do not yell at the dog and say, rabid dog that wants to kill my newborn child, please stand down. Don't come over here. Don't run my way. You don't yell. You don't shout. You don't pat it on the head. You definitely don't run away, because it'll catch you. There's only one solution. It's to put that dog down. That's the only solution. And the U.S. is a rabid dog right now. NATO is a rabid dog right now. Okay? Let me just show you this. So as we're laughing here and saying, oh, how silly this all is. Yeah, it is silly, but it's only silly because the U.S. is an empire in decline, a rabid dog. They don't know what to do. And the Pentagon is rewriting America's nuclear strategy. At the same time, it's asking its 19-year-old troops for help on their homework as to how we can defeat Iran. With a sharper focus on limited warfare against China or Russia, officials are examining a greater alliance on shorter-range tactical nuclear weapons for crises that fall short of an all-out global war. The classified guidance would shape the options available to President if conflict erupted in the Indo-Pacific or with Russia over NATO. Current doctrine already treats China's expanding arsenal and Russia's threat to Europe as top priorities. Now, I told you, I don't know why there was this notion before, during the elections and stuff. You always see the media And the media, when, they don't talk about me often or anything, but you hear always in the media that or you see people on social media say that I'm a Trump supporter. I voted for Trump or something. Couldn't have been further from the truth. I never voted for Trump. I never supported Trump. I liked the sentiment and the thinking of the MAGA base of voters. That's for sure. They're the only unique sovereign political entity left in the United States. Or they were. Now things are getting a little bit interesting. But, it's still all funneled into the two-party system. But the MAGA voters were like, no, we don't want war with Russia. We don't want to fund this proxy war. And now MAGA has left Trump because of the Iran war and Israel. So I'd say, though there's no sort of organization for them at this point, they still are unique. They still are unique sovereign. They're traditionalists. Anti-mass migration. They're at its core, they're anti-capitalist. I mean, they are anti-monopoly. They're pro, mass mobilization of the forces of production in our country. They hate Wall Street. They hate finance capital. They hate all the big monopolies. And where was I going with this? I was saying something. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. How I describe it, to put it simply, my relationship with this phenomena is I say, well, I like the people. The people are good thinkers, and they've proven time and time again that they're, qualitatively able to not act as though they're in a cult, because we see MAGA has left Trump as a result of his endless fanaticism of these Zionist projects. So they left Trump. So my fascination with these people was the same fascination anyone has with McDonald's. Think of it this way. The MAGA base that is anti-war, and fundamentally, whether they like to say it this way or not, they are anti-capitalists. They're like the double cheeseburger that you get at McDonald's. Trump is like Ronald McDonald, the clown at McDonald's. You know, the clown? That's Trump. When you go to McDonald's, do you go to get the double cheeseburger, or do you go to see the creepy Ronald McDonald clown? No one goes to McDonald's for the creepy clown. You only go for the burger, the French fries, the chicken McNuggets. And that is exactly what MAGA was. MAGA voters were the chicken McNuggets. And it doesn't matter if Ronald McDonald the clown is there. You're still going to get your chicken McNuggets. That's what it was. No one goes to McDonald's for the clown. No one goes for the Hamburglar. No one goes for the Ronald McDonald clown. No one goes for any of the other cast of characters, creepy ass characters that they have at that restaurant. And MAGA has shown that they're not with this. They're not with war on China. They're not with war on Russia. They're not for war on Iran. So Trump has no one left. And frankly, I think Trump is okay with it. Trump is okay with it because now he gets to say that the Republican Party dies without him. Without him, nothing can work. Nothing can succeed. He was the glue that kept everything together. He was this unique entity that can never, be paralleled again. I think he's okay with it. The problem, however, is that Trump has crossed every single red line imaginable when it comes to violating our personal freedoms and liberties in the United States, when it comes to the absolute, total, and utter corruption we've seen from him, his family, and his cronies, either be it through these crypto scam coins, the Melania coin and Trump coin, or every single week, with the weekend comes and they say, oh, we're going to blow up Iran. We're going to drop a nuclear bomb on Iran. And then the markets open and suddenly, everything is fine again. And we have all these short positions on the oil markets. Everyone's making all this money. The Kushners are making this money. His cronies are making this money. He's violated every single red line also when it comes to wars of aggression. So it really doesn't matter what comes next after Trump. Whatever comes next after Trump is going to be the most perverted, demented, demonic, brainchild, Frankenstein of the imperialist system of finance capital that you could ever possibly imagine. And it's going to take all of this free reign that Trump has given them and do untold amounts of damage to the world as the U.S. empire continues into its collapse. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.